Good. Hello. Now we had a short break today. I had to go and do something, but now I'm back. So let's resume what we began yesterday. The Rebbe told us that everything that's written in the Torah is a lesson for us. But a lesson for what? Exactly a lesson for what? So what are we supposed to learn? So the Rebbe tells us like this. The main purpose of man in this world is to do what's right. The main purpose of man in the world is responsibility to do what he's supposed to do, to be honest, to be truthful, to be healthy, to be helpful, to be loving. That's the purpose of man in the world. It's not always easy to do these things. But those things have to be done on God's terms, how God set up the Torah. That's called serving God. And it becomes sometimes very deep, intimate, like in the sacrifices in the Holy Temple. So they brought animals. The reason they brought animals because animals are alive. This is supposed to elevate and use the life force which is in us as well to serve the Creator. So serving the Creator doesn't mean just doing what God wants and saying what God wants or thinking what God wants. It also means having the right attitude. And when you do things that you're doing it because God wants, let's say this over. You know who you're serving. You're doing it for your Creator. You're doing it to improve the whole entire creation. Okay. Well, says the Rebbe, that's the whole idea of the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple was a place where you would go and see that it's possible to make from this physical world a vessel, a vehicle to reveal God, to reveal in this physical world that every detail of the physical world is being created by God, and it's very important to God. Every detail. So that's the Holy Temple. Okay. So the Rebbe says there's two aspects of this, and that's what's signified in these Torah portions that we've been reading for the last 5 weeks. In Truma and Tetzava, we learned about what God told to Moses, the ingredients and the ingredients, the materials used to build the tabernacle and to clothe the priests, the Kohanim. And this week's Torah portion, these two, Vayakel and Pekude, we're now on about Pekude. Vayakel is talking about that the Jews actually did what God wanted. They actually did. And the end of Pekude talks about a big revelation of God that filled up the finished product, that filled up the tabernacle. It filled it up. It says the presence of God filled the tabernacle. And so the Rebbe is trying to tell us that this is the point of this is to let us know, to educate us about something that we would never dream is the truth. We never dream is the truth. Like you want to learn to be a doctor, so you know what a healthy person is. You want to learn to be a lawyer, so you know what the laws are, what the Constitution is, right? How things are supposed to be decided. You want to be a painter, you have some sort of an idea of what you want to achieve. You have examples of other people, they painted beautiful pictures of music, everything there is, you have some sort of an example or a clear goal that you can follow. Or at least, let's say you're looking for some solution to a problem. But here the Rebbe is talking about the goal is something that we've never experienced. We've never experienced. And we can't take an example, so to speak, from anyone else. So, okay, maybe what I said is not exactly so. We have never experienced, but in every generation, there are certain Jews that have experienced this. And what is it? The importance of this physical world to God, the godliness in the world. When there was the temple, the tabernacle, so everybody, at least it was available to everybody. You had at least you had an example of how the physical world can can broadcast godliness. Of course, it's different than a television. A television, for instance, that broadcasts, so the television is one thing and the picture is another thing. But here we're talking about the world itself becomes part of the broadcast. In other words, the world itself is a creation. Not only that, the world itself is the main creation. It's not that the world is getting in our way. Okay, if you don't have the right attitude, then the world does get in the way. But if you do have the right idea, then God not only does the world not get in the way, the world you realize is the goal. That's the holy temple. Okay, so the Rebbe says, if so, there's two aspects of this holy temple. One of them is what we do, that we can serve God, and that draws a certain revelation of God. And then there's God himself does it on his own. That's the end of this week's Torah portion in the Parshat Pekudei, that God actually reveals, which you can say, come on, when does God reveal himself? Because that's Judaism. God sent the 10 plagues. God split the sea. God rained bread from heaven. God himself revealed himself, spoke to all the Jews at Mount Sinai. God himself is actually, you want to call it, a character in the Bible, so to speak. Which, I mean, if you take that at face value, that's like ultimate blasphemy to say something like that, because God is not a person. But on the other hand, he certainly is a person. Right? Moses spoke to him. God gets pleased. God gets angry. God has love. God has awe. God has, it says, what does God have fear? How does God have fear? God has fear that the Jews won't do what he wants. He's afraid, so to speak. Because he gave us free will and he's afraid we'll misuse it, right? Okay, so that's what we can learn from this week's Torah portion. That the goal of Judaism is the third temple, number one. And there was such a thing in the past. We have what to learn from. There was a first temple, there was a second temple, and before both of them, there was the tabernacle. And the tabernacle was the predecessor, it was the vanguard, it was the icebreaker that came through this world, so to speak, and showed how the world itself is holy if you use it used properly, like they did in the Holy Temple. And eventually the whole world will be that way. And that makes a big revelation of God in the world. So it says, here, let's go. We did this before. Where's this over here? 1 minute. Oh. What's this over here? 1 second. Oh, here we go. Yes. Okay, here we go. The pula from Maila, that which is revealed from above time, in other words, the creator, is revealed in time, in the creation, in time. Chibur, this joins together. 1 minute. This joins together. Let's make this bigger. 1 second. 1 minute. Don't give up here. This joins together. Yeah, above time, in time, joining what's above and below. In other words, joining the creator, the infinite creator with the finite creation. Drik zich ois, this is expressed also in the joining between these two Torah portions together. Vayakel, that's what we, the Jews, did, how they built the tabernacle. Mit Pekude, and Pekude is how God revealed himself there. The Nekuda from Vayakel, the main point, the lesson we can learn from Vayakel is how the Jews did Avodat Nivroim, how we did what God wanted. 1 second, what's going on here? How we did what God wanted. When the Nekuda and the point of Pekude, that's this week's Torah portion, in the end, is Hamshacham Ilamayla, that God himself revealed himself in the tabernacle. And the result in them is as men darf mechaber, that we can join ein beder mechaber zen, we can join beder zusammen, both opposites together, the creation which is finite and the creator who is infinite. In other words, don't think that what we're aiming for, this idea of the future redemption, means that there won't be any world. It'll just be this sort of blinding white light and everything. Or like all the other religions say, we'll just leave the world. Who needs the world? We'll just go to heaven. Right? Everyone's going to go to heaven and we'll all be up there and dancing in God's heaven. And that's it. Says the Rebbe, no, that's not the God. We're going to be dancing on God's earth, the physical earth, with every little detail, every blade of grass and every dog and every whatever it is, bird and all the stars and all that, and everything will be exactly the same as it is physically, but it'll be revealed the true meaning of it, the true meaning of what it is. I know I've told this example like 1,000 times, but it's like finding an old picture in the garbage or something, and then someone says, "Wow, that's a genuine, Modigliani or whatever it is, or Degas or something like that." The picture's worth like $1 million. Why? Because it has this guy's signature on it. It doesn't. It looks like anybody can draw a picture like that. So, oh yeah, you can't. Of course, there's a lot of fakers, but this is a genuine one. This world is a genuine God. God signature is on everything. What's God's signature? Life. Everything that exists, everything that's alive, that means that God made it. That's infinitely more valuable than anything that can possibly be. To reveal the creator in the creation, right? The creator in the creation. Here we're saying if you have a picture that, who's Rembrandt's, what's the name? His name is on it. It means Rembrandt drew the picture hundreds of years ago. But here we're talking about God is creating the world right now, the physical world with all of its limitations. Suddenly, every limitation becomes glowing with meaning. When the oiftu, that's what it says. When das is the haktama, this is the preparation for the revelation that's going to be when Moshiach comes. That's what the tabernacle was. As it says, "V'samti kad kod kedenu kedin." It says that I will make a precious stone that's called a kad kod. Shim Shoshain. It says there's two opinions what it was. It's the same thing in Noah's Ark. It says there's one opinion that the stone there just shined, it reflected light, and the other one, or it saved up light, whatever. From then, it's like, what is it, fluorescent and light. The other one is that it produced light itself. It actually produced light itself. Not like you got these whatever it is, fireflies and stuff like that. Anyway, whatever it is, it says that the world will also receive from God, and it'll also shine godliness on its own. We'll see why God is creating everything. Okay, says the Rebbe. There's another point over here. What's the other point? Nachahara. Another point. So the first point is that this world potentially will shine the essence of God higher than heaven. Heaven won't be necessary. The godliness will shine here. This is the main place where God wants to be. We haven't revealed it, but we will reveal it. A little bit it was revealed in the temple, but eventually be revealed in the whole world. That's the future redemption, every detail. Okay, another teaching. When you join Vayakel and Pekude, is zwischen them, zwei from Eibishter, between the commandment of God that was in Trum and Tetzaveh to Moses, Wegen machen der Mishkan, to make the tabernacle, that was 3-4 weeks ago in the double two portions over there, Truma and Tetzaveh, right? So Truma and Tetzaveh, God commanded Moses. And here, Vayakel, Pekude, the Jewish people did it and God revealed. But in the middle between those pairs is Parshas Kitisa. And Parshas Kitisa talks about the sin of the golden calf. It says between God's commandment to the Jewish people in Truma and Tetzaveh and the Jewish people actually doing it and God being revealed in Vayakel Pekude, right in the middle of those 4 Torah portions, there is Parshas Kitisa, was the tzivoy from Moses. I'm sorry, is the golden calf. Okay. Between God's commandment to the Jewish people in Truma Tetzaveh and the commandment of Moses to the Jewish people to build the Mishkan in Miyakel Pekude, can a mole, sometimes it can be a thing was mafsik side that can separate. And it prevents from it happening. The things was Vel Charedim, which is talked about in Parshas Kitisa. In other words, what does it mean? A lot of times we make resolutions. We realize our mistakes. We realize how to correct them. We make resolutions that from now on, I'm not going to do those bad things anymore. I'm going to do good things. I've changed my mind. I've changed my ways. I changed my this. And that's it, right? Wrong. All of a sudden there comes surprises. What types of surprises? Not nice surprises. Bad surprises. Surprises that take away our enthusiasm. They take away our enthusiasm. I can't not tell the story. I have to tell the story. I should have told the story in the stories, but I'll tell it to you now. Story. When I was just becoming religious, this was like 50, almost 55 years ago, 54 years ago. So before that, I wasn't religious at all, totally nothing. And then, I was taken to the Rebbe. I saw the Rebbe in a speech, and I said, "That's it." Going, it was just, that's a Jew. That's what a Jew is. Now I realize what Judaism really is. It's a long story, but I'm making it short. So I got really excited, really, really excited. And I went to a yeshiva, and I started learning in the yeshiva, and I just sat and I learned, and it was just wonderful, and just, Torah and Chassidut, and learning God, and just God, and where was I before? I was so stupid, so empty. My life had been so meaningless, and now all of a sudden it's meaningful. Good. So then, it took me a long time to sort of really get, and to start really learning and things like that. But I was trying. Anyway, so the Rebbe used to speak like almost every Shabbat. He would speak, and someone would come and translate, make a summary in English. After that, I would go to it and I would listen. So one time, this person, the Rebbe, made a speech, and it was on Tu B'Av, and it was talking about after the destruction of the temple. Then there's the 5th on the 9th of Av, then the 15th of Av, the moon is going to be full, and there's a sign the Moshiach is coming, and any second the Moshiach is going to come, and it's going to be a wonderful world, and a good world, and an exciting world, and a healthy world. Oh, yeah, we're so excited. Now, every Sunday, no, that wasn't every Friday. Every Friday, I used to go to a nearby hospital, and I would put tefillin on people, on the old people. There were old people. It was like the top floor. This was like the caboose. It was the last train. Everybody's headed for the last roundup. These old people are there. A lot of them were Holocaust survivors. There's a lot of stories about that. Anyway, there was a fellow, a big guy, and he had a big white kippah on his head, and he was clean shaven, but a religious guy. And I said to him, I was all excited, and I said to him, "Listen, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that after the destruction of the temple, which is the 9th of Av, on the 15th, the moon is full, which is a sign that Jewish people are going to come back, and the moon is going to be shining. It'll be shining just like the sun, and the Moshiach is going to come, and the base of Mikdash will be built, and the world will be filled with peace." And this, and he looked at me and he said, and I'll translate in a second. He looked at me and he said, "An alte Geschäft," says an old story. He said like that. It was like I had this big balloon. It's just like you took a pen and went. Psh. I thought, wow, he's heard this before, and he's not excited, So, I'm probably as excited as he probably was when he first heard it. And he said, it's the same thing. Sometimes you get all excited, and all of a sudden something happens in the middle, and you lose your enthusiasm. You meet someone, somebody that does something to you, you don't feel good, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you find that you did some things that you don't want to do, or you said things you didn't want to say, or you thought things you didn't want to think. You had it all planned out. Everything you were so excited. When a commandment comes below, by means of Moses in Parshas Vayakhel. So you had Truma and Tetzaveh when God commanded Moshe to build the tabernacle. Everyone was excited. All of a sudden comes Parshas Tisa, and everyone worships the golden calf. Exactly the opposite. Now there's coming the commandment again to Moshe to actually do it. Do it as verdun bald durach gefir, and then immediately you can do the Mishkan and finish the work that you were supposed to do, revealing God in the world. In other words, there's interruptions. In the Torah, there's also interruptions. You fell down, you made mistakes. The Torah tells you that the Jewish people made a bigger mistake than you can ever dream of making. The golden calf was like the worst of the worst, right? The Jewish people heard directly from God, don't worship idols, and 40 days later, they all did it. So a person can think, listen, if so, I'm irreparable. I can't be repaired. I'm just totally broken. I'm going to sin again. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing those sins. I really enjoyed doing those things. you know. So I don't think this Judaism business is for me, you know. I don't think so. So comes along the Torah and says, that is not you speaking. That is what's called your destructive influence. You want to call it the devil, or the devil within us, right? That is the destruction. It's a different person inside of you. There's a person inside of you which is called your selfish soul, nefesh habahamit, the animal soul. And it throws all these doubts, and it's certain about the doubts. There's no doubt about it. No, that's it. I'm not going to do it. I'm finished. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do sins. I like them. I'm going to do it. I have it all figured out. And that's me. It says that's your animal soul speaking. That's not the real you. And it's trying to take control of you. And it's succeeded in up to now. Don't do it. Don't let it happen. It says, yeah, but I already made these vows and these values and these this, and it didn't work. So it's, you know, it's not going to work again. So this is, you don't know what's going to happen again. But the fact of the matter is, all those doubts are being thrown into your mind. That's not coming from you. The true you is you want to do what's right. It's like driving down the street and hearing voices saying, drive on the wrong side of the road, drive on the wrong side of the road. You know, you can do it. Don't worry about it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Don't be a coward. Drive on the wrong side of the road. You be a man. Those voices are voices of suicide. And no matter how convincing they are to other people, but they're not going to be convincing to you. It says the Rebbe is the same thing. The Jewish people received the commandments from God, and they were all excited. And all of a sudden comes, that was in Truma and Tetzaveh, all of a sudden comes Parshat Tisa, and all the Jews worshiped the golden calf, either actively or passively. So that's the end. It says, no. After that, start again. Okay, I made a mistake. Nothing wrong with making mistakes. If you learn from them. If you learn from them. Making mistakes, I mean, you can say, listen, the reason I made a mistake is God made me that way. Okay, so you made a mistake. Now get it. When the Merite, usually the majority of years, these two Torah portions called Truma and Vayakel Pekude are all together. They're read together. Vayakel Pekude. Afilu b'shas der Yetzer Hara, even when the Yetzer Hara, the evil impulse, mixes in, mishtin, Orion, mixes. Unes can gedroyen. Gor et lechartav, and this can last many days. The Jewish people sin with the golden calf, right? Terrible. It can last for days. It can last for weeks. It can last for years. God forbid. Is aber kein anderer inyan nicht inmitten. But the fact is nothing can separate a Jew from God. Se is doch no yidach mimeno nidach. Even the lowest Jew will not be pushed away from God. Is vider inyan, like it vert nisgala, like it's revealed by Moshe. It's because if Moses reveals it, in our case it's Lubavitcher Rebbe, or the representative of Moses in every generation, and he's coming and telling us that every Jew is holy, and every Jew wants to do all the commandments, and every Jew wants to avoid what's God forbids. Every Jew, without exception. I don't want to do that. It says that's not you. That's not you. That's not the real you. That's what's called the Yetzer Hara. That's what's called the animal soul. Where did it come from? It's a gift from God. Why did God make it? So that you'll defy it. As vetzich der inyan, then, because God is commanding it, and God is commanding it through the leader, the Jewish leader of the generation, then for sure it will be upgetan. It will be accomplished. The good things that you decided to do in Truma and Tetzaveh, when God commanded it, and the resolutions that you made, even though there's the separation of the golden calf, for sure you will do it. Tzvei from Moshe, because it's a commandment from Moses to the Jewish people, and the commandment itself is a promise. So when if the Lubavitcher Rebbe says that we can do something, so that's several things going on at one time. Number one, it's a statement. Number two, it's an empowering. And number three, it's a promise. It will be done. You have the power to do it. And for sure, everyone will do what is right. It's just what's right. As der inyan vet zicher uptan, for sure it will be done. Every Jew will certainly do what God wants. Thus, this means as vet zicher sein avoda from Yidden, certainly all the Jews will do what God wants. Every Jew will certainly live their lives according to what is true. Un es vet zicher bringen, and a certain will bring kavod Hashem malei mishkan, that certainly the presence of God will fill the whole holy temple and eventually the whole entire world. This is the whole world will be filled with the awareness of God like water fills the ocean. The definition of the ocean is water, and that's going to be the definition of the world will be godliness. For sure it's going to happen. And even if there are interruptions, and there have been already an interruption for about 2,000 years, doesn't make any difference. We are promised in the Torah that for sure it is going to happen any moment now. Let's this.